Here's up, viewers. Patrick from Ball vs. Only, back with another video. And this is episode number 2 of Revival Week on Ball Verses of the Day. And today's verse comes out of Psalm 19, verse 7, and it reads, "The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple." And that's what that verse means. And it's time for our church recap, and let's get right into it. So we're going to start in Proverbs 16, verse 32, and it reads, "Better a patient person than a warrior one with self-control than one who takes a city." And now we're going to go to Romans 12, verse 1, verses 1 through 2. And it reads, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." So now we're going to go to 1 Corinthians 7, or 2 Corinthians 7, verse 1. And it reads, "Therefore, since we have these promises, dear friends, let us purify ourselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God." So now we're going to also go to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. And in Ephesians 6, verse 12, it reads, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Sticking with Ephesians chapter 4, verse 23 says, "His son by the slave woman was born according to the flesh, but his son by the free woman was born as the result of a divine promise." Whoops, that was Galatians. My apologies. Okay. Ephesians 4:23. And it reads, "You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds." Also in Ephesians 4, this is verse 31, and it reads, "Get rid of bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling, and slander, along with every form of malice." Now we're going to go to Colossians 3, verse 6. And in Colossians 3, verse 6, it reads, "Because of these, the wrath of God is coming." Also in Colossians 3, verse 21, it reads, "Fathers, do not embitter your children, or they will become discouraged." And that is all for the verse portion of that sermon. Glenn preached that Saturday morning. And now we're going to go to Galatians 2, verse 20. And here is what it says. "I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me." And finally, in Romans 7, verses 15 through 19, and here is what it says. I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good, as it is. It is no longer I myself who do it, but it is sin living in me. For I know that the good itself does not dwell in me, that is in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. And that is all for the verse portion of that sermon. And that was Rob preached that yesterday. And one of the notes are, do you know what you are doing? So when you're born again, your old sinful self dies, and your new self in Christ is born and alive. When he's talking about I, in Galatians 2:20, it refers to our old self, but when it says but Christ lives in me, that refers to the new self that has been born again. And the verse to leave you with today in Proverbs 1 verse 7, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And that's going to do for the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, me again, viewers, in every way, God's way is always the best way.